Buying a used car? Avoid costly problems by checking a car's history. Get a report instantly by entering the reg on carvertical.com. Car Vertical report will pull up things like outstanding finance, previous accident damage, mileage discrepancies, recalls, and more. And rather excitingly, TGTV viewers will get 10% off just by clicking the special link in the pinned comment and in the description. It will automatically take you through and give you 10% off your report.
It really couldn't be simpler. Get the full facts on your next used car at carvertical.com by typing in your reg number. Hello, and welcome back to TGTV, and more specifically, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my Porsche 912. My 912 is not only back on the channel, it is back fully operational. A little bit of clutch in around that bend, and no idea which gear I was in. So we are back in the 912, and you'd probably be forgiven for thinking, Tom, I can't remember the last time you drove that car, and you'd be right. This car I probably last drove best part of 2 years ago, properly really, before the ill-fated restoration actually started. By no means is this car complete, but it is a lot better than it was. We've got a full new interior in here, had an engine rebuild, we've got a new clutch, we've got new brakes, we've got new shocks, we've got floor pans, and we've got various other structural bits and bobs that have been done. The bonnet now stays shut whilst I'm driving. The windows go up and down on the handles. It's all together pretty civilized in here, apart from the fact I can never tell what gear I'm actually in. Are we in neutral? What is going on here? So the 912 is back. It is usable, it's operational until it goes in for a bare metal job at Rint Vehicle Design, probably towards the end of the summer, to be honest with you. I've owned this car now for, it must be 2 years. I'm gonna have to go back and check my videos when I actually launched this car and revealed it all to you, but it must be 2 years now. And in that time, I would safely say I've driven it less than 10 times, which is appalling, really. And I definitely haven't got my money's worth, that's for sure. So I actually want to get some use out of this car this summer. The engine's effectively, to all intents and purposes, brand new. Apart from a couple of flat spots in the carbs, which we'll be doing something about actually when it goes in for bare metal as well, which I'll explain shortly. But in this video, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get onto the rather raw topic of costs. How much has this thing now cost me? Bearing in mind, it's taken 2 years of my life for this thing to be even vaguely safe or vaguely usable, and it's actually cost a relatively alarming amount. Now, that's going to get worse. The costs and expenses of the car are going to get worse when it goes into Rint for its bare metal extravaganza, so I'm fully prepared for my trousers to be loosened further and my bottom receive a further savaging. But for now, I'm going to run through the costs, what costs what, and give a little walk around of the car. So, I mean, it's complete chaos. But as a driving experience, I'm actually quite happy in here. I've been driving for about 20 minutes or so now through London to get to where we are. And actually, I'm pretty happy in here. I've been grinning for a lot of the journey. It's not fast at all. I mean, if it's got 70 brake horsepower, I'll be absolutely amazed. The engine is still the bog standard 1.6. I haven't bored it out to 1.7, 1.9, whatever people do with these. I haven't put kind of a hot rod 3.2 engine in it, which I've seen someone actually do, which is chaos in actual fact. It is completely bog standard power, so it's not a fast car, but the emphasis in this car is on the fun of driving, should we say. I know it sounds a little bit cringe, but it is on the fun of driving. Like, you literally, it's all hands on deck in here, and I really wouldn't want to be going that much quicker in this thing. Yes, it does feel a lot safer with its new brakes and whatnot, but this is a 60s car. I don't want to be doing modern speed in a 60s car, I really don't. As a town car though, apart from the fact it's quite noisy because of the dance race exhaust and the fact it absolutely stinks, it's actually quite pleasant to use around town. It's such a small car in here. I feel I can pretty much reach all corners of the car. The clutch isn't that heavy. The bite point's not difficult to find. The gears do take some getting used to because you've obviously got that dog leg there. It's a bit like stirring soup. There's not that kind of precise click you get in slightly more modern gearboxes. You do have to kind of wobble it around and kind of hope for the best, and sometimes just pick the clutch up a little bit, and sometimes you have to pick the clutch up. Excuse me, we're not going anywhere, mate, there's traffic. Where do you think we're gonna go? Ladies and gentlemen, if you toot in traffic like that, oh, you're coming round me, are you? I don't think so, mate. Drivers in London, there's so much aggression. Where do you think you're going to go? We're in standstill traffic. Absolute Burke. Don't be that Burke that toots in traffic. London, ladies and gentlemen, is it any wonder I've basically moved out of here completely permanently and I'm only back here every now and again? Absolute f***ing Anyway, as I was saying, the clutch isn't too bad to use in traffic. You can pretty much see where every corner of the car is. It has only got one wing mirror, but as a town car, it's actually quite pleasant. And it's even more pleasant to be in now that D-Class have done their magic with it. It's actually a very hospitable place to be. What is going on? Am I going to be killed? No. And because it's only a 1.6, it's actually relatively economical on fuel. It's only 4-cylinder. It does just kind of potter around. The fuel tank's tiny. It's not too bad. I don't think you have to pay ULEZ on it. I think it's too old for that. Congestion charge, I think you do still have to pay, but ULEZ, I think it's exempt. It's MOT exempt. It's tax exempt. So it's all looking rather economical. But you'll soon see that changes when we park up and I give you a little walk round. My advice would be, if you're gonna get one of these, try buy one that's already been restored. Don't be a big man and buy one completely unrestored and completely unfettered and think you can just take it all on. You might well be able to, but say goodbye to tens of thousands. After you, sir. Are you going to get annoyed because I've let someone out? Angry man back there. I'll try not to stall it. He will actually come and kick my head in. Go on then. And you do find actually driving a classic car around that people tend to let you out of junctions and whatnot. It's not too bad. People are quite hospitable. That wasn't the best manoeuvre there, Tom. UPS man on kamikaze mission. Now this is back in action and my Targa is back in action. I need to go get it from Rinse, actually. It's still in their storage unit there. I will be aiming to do some more classic Porsche stuff on the Roadster app. Many of you remember my Murcielago meetup recently with the Roadster app over on YouTube Square. I'm aiming to do some classic car stuff and take it maybe slightly further out of town. I quite like the just meet up, have a coffee thing, because it means that there isn't any driving heroics from people and there's no kind of chance that someone's going to have an accident and the whole thing comes tumbling down on my head. But alternatively, we will do some drives as well. So if you're not following me on the Roadster app, you will not know about the meets. So make sure you go and do that. For now then, let's catch up in a second. We're going to have a little walk around of the car and I'm going to price up everything that this thing has cost me so far. So let's catch up then. Here she is, my 912 in all her glory. So where to begin then? Externally, I haven't done a huge amount to this car. In fact, I don't think I've done anything. In fact, I don't think I've done anything to the outside aesthetic of this car. So much so, I'm even missing a little centre cap there as well. I need to get them matching to these ones here. I don't even actually know if these are genuine. I don't know if the wheels are even genuine for that matter, but I've struggled to find a matching one of those. So I've actually bought 4 new ones that are actually new old stock. I think they're genuine, the ones that I've bought off eBay of all places. But externally, nothing really has been done to this car, apart from there was a huge rust hole here. It actually eaten through the paint, and that was actually a massive hole in the side of the car, which I got done early doors. Some of you remember the early days of this car. I got that sorted straight away. That little job on the side wasn't a huge amount of money. It was actually rolled in with a load of floor pan work and some structural stuff at the front and the back. Just some bare basics I did on the car when I first got it, because it was all rusted through and the car was about to fold. So structurally it is okay. There are a lot of things still to be done though. Every single wing is going to be infested with rust, and that is going to be the dubious pleasure of Rint Vehicle Design to get in and sort that out once and for all and do a respray at the same time. But I've already invested 10 grand or thereabouts into just making sure this thing was safe and the floors worked and the seats didn't fall through the floor whilst I was driving along. Not the most satisfying money I've spent, I must say. Whilst I was there then, I actually got a new OEM shock on one side. I can't remember which side it was. Maybe that one there. That looks newer than the other one. We're not going to go around to the other side. My knees are agony. And at the rear, I put in some Koni shocks actually. Which you'll see there. So it's got Koni shocks at the rear. I can't remember the exact price of those. I think they're 500 or 600 quid. thereabouts. But yeah, more fun. Car looks the same, but just money in a hole. Now, that's actually where the start of the expense is, because inside is where a lot of the expense has gone, and we're going to explain expenses and how everything works with YouTube and cars in a second as well. So D-Class have done the interior here, absolutely everything. I'm not going to bore on about this because this was literally the last video I did, was explaining what they've done in here. If you're interested in the full process, there is a whole thing on the channel exactly how bad this thing was when they got their hands on it. But the interior of this car is brand new. Mind the dust, because that's me. It's actually literally brand new with all the original dials, and obviously that's a Momo Prototipo steering wheel that came with the car. But a job like this, a job to the extent of this, and how many man hours that went into this, easily 5 figures for one of these. So let's look in the back then, because the money pit continues. Here then, we've had a full rebuild has happened on the engine, and that came to, I think, the best part of 6 grand, 5 grand, I can't actually remember, but thereabouts. I didn't go absolutely mental. It probably could do with a new set of carbs. I was being stingy, the slight flat spotting, and if you're going to be really anal, they could do with getting done as well. But you'll see, everything's been repowder coated, and it's all a fresh engine bay, which is very, very nice. Runs very well though, and there was some very dodgy bits and bobs going on there, and when I covered the engine stuff, you guys picked up that the previous owner had done some very strange stuff in the back of this car. So that's another 5. So we're up to, well, 25 grand or so already, if you've been keeping count. I haven't. The race exhaust came on the car. Now the elephant in the room, it's still very, very scruffy. We can see, don't know if you can see that there, we've got 3 rust bubbles there. If the camera focuses. Don't know if you can pick that up. There's rust bubbles there. Down the side, there's more kind of occlusions and whatnot down the side of the car, suggesting that this thing has got a rust problem. It is being eaten from the inside out. We've got a little bubble there as well. They're all over the car. And whilst that would be quite alarming to most people, and it is quite alarming to me, I always factored in that this was going to get a bare metal at some point. I was going to use it scruffy for a while, and then it would go in during winter months for a bare metal, and Rint will take that on. That dubious pleasure they will take on. You see all along here, actually, there's a whole line across there, and actually if you prod it too much, I think the paint will probably crack and pull through. So actually I'm just going to lift up the front and show you what else has been done, because I used to drive it around and the bonnet used to flap up like it was talking when I was driving around. So underneath here then, we've actually fitted an isolator switch as well. So this unscrews. I won't unscrew it now because it's, you know, out and about. But you unscrew it and it just stops the battery from going dead for the times where I don't have this plugged into one of my C-Tech chargers. And we've got a whole load of detritus in here, including a high-vis vest for when I invariably break down. Fun and games. Lovely stuff. And that bonnet stays down, which sounds like so it should, but actually since I've owned the car I used to flap around driving all over the place. So that's that. Bare metal, including a full strip down, rebuild of any parts, replacement of parts, and a respray. You're looking at anything between, I'd say 25, 35 grand. Quite happily. It's a lot of man hours, and this is going to take a lot of work because it's from the 60s. My Targa was in a much better state than this, and my Targa, I think all in, was about 40, 45k. Now, being a YouTube person, I do benefit from mates rate. I do benefit from various kind of business related reliefs and whatnot, so it's not quite as crushing as it would be if I was kind of Joe Blogs doing it. So a bit of rough maths then, you're actually probably looking at best part of 50, 60k to get this anything like restored. And even then, there'll still be all sorts of finishings, things like wheel bolts, things like rubbers, chromes, just old bits and bobs like this that still haven't been done. You know, obviously crusty fixtures and fittings inside the door and whatnot, that'll all be sorted. Actually, that's not too bad at all. Absolutely love that there. But it's by no means at that point, once you've even spent 50 or 60 grand, by no means will it still be nut and bolt. These things go on and on and on. There's always something to replace. So there we go, there you have it. That's that then, a little rundown of my 912 and exactly how much this thing has put a dent in my wallet, in my bank account, and actually in my mental well-being, to be honest with you. I'm really happy with it now. I'm going to enjoy it for the summer. I'm going to rat around it, probably dump it in the Cotswolds and drive it around out there. I might leave it in London, I don't know. Hopefully you enjoyed that little moment of transparency there on the channel, a little run round of exactly how aggressive these things can be. I paid £32,000 for the car. It's a short wheelbase, matching numbers, Irish green, original paint car. So I think I probably got a little bit conned on that one. I don't think that was particularly cheap, but that gives you an idea of how much one of these actually costs. And actually why you should probably buy one that's already been done by a reputable place, because by the time I'm done with it, I'm probably going to be in for 80, 90 grand, which is a lot. And you can buy a sorted one for, well, 90 to 100. So you're better off probably just buying one already done and just using it straight out of the box. Anyway, for now, thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe and stay tuned for some antics in this car, possibly a road trip if I'm feeling really brave very soon. And of course, I'll see you at a Roadster app meet very soon. Bye.